If you are running a SMMA agency or an agency of any kind, I'm going to show you 4 automations real quickly that I set up for a lot of clients of mine that are going to save you a ton of time as an agency owner, going to help you convert more leads, and it's just going to make your business a lot more scalable overall. So I'm going to walk you through some of those automations, and you're definitely going to take away a couple of big wins for your own agency. So where do these automations come from? What you can see here is a mirror board, and this is basically the system that I built out for a lot of clients. You can see there's roughly 5 distinct sections. There's top of funnel, there's what happens when people actually book in calls, there's what happens when you actually close in people from those calls, what happens when you're managing those prospects to actually get them good results, and then you have reporting. So this is generally where these 4 automations I'm going to show you come from. Obviously, I'm not showing you everything because this is quite a detailed system that I'm building out for a lot of clients, but that just gives you an idea of how I view the 5 distinct areas of a business that normally hits their various bottlenecks. So let's jump right into the first automation. The very first automation here is how do we deal with new opt-ins? Obviously, this depends on the tools that you're using. So just take the ideas I'm talking about and you might have to map them to the tools that you're using, but you're still going to take some very interesting concepts. So in this case, I'm using ClickFunnels. That's often what I'm using to build out landing pages, funnel pages, all those type of things for clients. Then we're using ActiveCampaign for our marketing automation very typically. And then in this example, I've just assumed that you're also using ActiveCampaign to manage your deal pipeline, but usually most of my clients are using something like Pipedrive, Close, HubSpot, for example. So just again, take the concepts and try and map them to what you're currently using, or you could just use the exact same stack here. So the first thing is obviously hand in the lead opt-in. So what happens when someone opts in? We capture that opt-in. We're going to want to create or update the person in ActiveCampaign. And the reason we're saying create or update is because as you get further into your journey, you're likely going to have multiple lead magnets, multiple VSLs, multiple funnels, things like that. So people might opt in for multiple versions of your lead magnets, and you'd want to tag that as you go along. For example, you can see here, I have the first name, the last name, and then the tag. This is specific to the VSL that I'm creating. Maybe it's a different lead magnet, maybe it's a free ebook. So you would then change that to be VSL, or be ebook, and maybe be, again, 4 automation templates, or whatever the ebook is. But this will allow you to then build up as you go along based on the various funnels you're building out, a history of all the things that people have done in the business tag wise. So you can see, oh, they've opted in for 4 different lead magnets over the years. They're probably quite high priority, or why haven't they booked in a call yet, for example. So you just want to be able to track these things as you go along. Then you can see here, again, I'm using ActiveCampaign for the deal management, but in this case, I'm trying to first find the deal. If the CTA of the lead magnet or the funnel is quite high, for example, a current client, they are saying request a callback. That's a very high intent CTA. So they're not booking in a call right away, but they're saying, will you call me so I can book in a call? That's very high intent. So we want to create a deal right away. But again, this might not work in your current variation. So you might not create the deal. You might leave out all these deal steps in this case. But in this case, I'm trying to find the deal, and I'm not allowing the automation to fail if it can't find the deal. I'm allowing to continue, so then I can branch down and use the paths and say, if the deal doesn't exist, then create the deal in a certain stage. If the deal does exist, then I just want to update the stage, move it back to like new opt-in or request a call, or just whatever indication is very important. And one thing I really like to do is use Slack notifications, just some type of centralized notifications, because that gives you a searchable history firstly, and it also gives good visibility to your team as you start growing out and you have, say, sales reps. It can be like new opt-in, go give them a call. Another example I've done for a client is we wait 15 minutes, and if they haven't booked in a call, we send another message saying they haven't booked a call yet, even after 15 minutes, give them a call now. So it really helps with time to lead, how quickly they can respond to new leads and prospects. Second automation is, now that we've got people opting in and we are nurturing them in some different ways, we are going to start getting more book calls. So now the next automation is what happens when someone books a call in. And you're going to start to see a common pattern. It's visibility through Slack notifications of some sort, and then also making sure that you're tagging people and updating their deal in the pipeline. So just giving good visibility and good data integrity all along your funnel and your pipeline. So you can see here when a new invitee is creating Calendly, again, you might be using another tool like Cal or OneSub, whatever it is, you're capturing those bookings. Again, you want to make sure that person exists in your CRM because you want your sales reps to have everything in one place. You don't want to have them having to scrounge around and look for things in Calendly and go between different tools. You want everything in one place as best as you can. And also this allows us to tag people. So for example, you can see here, I would be adding a tag of booked a call. Again, now we start to get a running history of everything someone has done over the long run. This is a very simplified tagging system. In some of my bigger clients, we are doing things around, we have tags that show just the history of they have booked a call at some point. Then we have tags of they have booked a call in the last 3 months. And you kind of put that into another automation that decays and then eventually removes that tag so we can know what is happening over a period. And we also have tags which act just as triggers. So you would say trigger booked call, that puts them into some type of automation active campaign, and then you remove that trigger right away. So there's different ways you can go around this tagging system, but this is just a very simplified approach. I'm trying to push into your brain the concept of tagging, making sure you move your deals along, and good visibility. And again, you can see here, I send a notification to a centralized thing saying someone has booked a call, maybe reach out to them, confirm with them, whatever your sales process is. But again, good visibility. And something that's really important is you can see here, I put this booked call notification before all this path, these path splits, because I don't want to have a booked call at the end of each path doing the exact same thing. Obviously, if the message is going to be different, that's a different story. But in this case, I'm putting it before so I don't have to repeat myself. And that means if I update the automation in the future, I'm going to have to update multiple things. You don't want to do that. You want to minimize things as much as possible. And then again, same thing. We find the deal, we update the deal if it already exists to that new booked call step. If it doesn't exist, we're just going to create it straight away in that booked call step. But again, the concept is visibility, making sure you move the deals along, making sure everything is centralized. So in this case, in addition, if you have questions on your Calendly or your book call tool, you can add those to active campaign. You can do it as a note, you can do it onto the deal as a note, whatever you want it to be. The third automation we're looking at is now that we are getting people on sales calls, we're obviously going to be closing more people. We need to generate contracts. The beautiful thing. And what I really like to do with most of my clients is use some type of form to kick off that onboarding sequence. So I often call it the post-sale form or closes form, whatever you want to call it, but that will have the questions that your closers or yourself can fill out. That's the email, the name of the person, anything specific to the deal, like total value, if there's installments, how many monthly payments they need to make, what's the kickoff date, all these type of things. And you'll kick that off with a Google form, or it could be a Jot form, or whatever you want to use. And I find it helps to use an external form tool like Jotform or Google Forms, because then you can pipe stuff into multiple platforms. If you just, for example, use a HubSpot form or an ActiveCampaign form, it gets a little bit trickier because you have to make sure the fields exist first in ActiveCampaign on the users. You have all these extra fields, and same thing with HubSpot. So I like to do it with external forms, and you can kickstart processes, as I was saying. And for generating the contracts, I either like esignatures.io or PandaDoc. I do not recommend DocuSign. I've worked with so many clients who were initially on DocuSign and it was terrible. We had to move off it because it doesn't handle automations very well and be able to use placeholders and variables in your contracts. So I like e-signatures because it's cheap, and also PandaDoc, also great integrations and also quite friendly price-wise. So we generate that contract. And you can see here, I do the contract as the very first thing because I want to make sure that there's no other steps that can fail before the contract gets generated. I want to make sure that contract goes out. That's the most important thing, is that let's get that contract out. So I put that as early on as possible. And I'm always thinking, if something had to fail, is that going to mess up something really important? So in this case, again, generate the contract right away. Again, send a Slack message, new contract sent out. Maybe there's some process there in regards to follow-up that you have. Again, you could automate a lot of these things, but I'm ready doing a simplified process here. Send off that notification, and then we again find the deal, update the deal to move it along to the next step of closed one, if you want to put it at that point, or you can just say move to like a deal sent step, for example. Maybe you want to say the deal was won only once the contract is signed, or you could say it's won already. So it just depends how you want to do that. Our fourth and final automation for now is what happens when someone signs the contract. Now they are officially onboarded, they are part of your client list. Now we need to kick off a couple of things there, I imagine, as well. So you can see here, using e-signatures again, we kickstart this automation based on a signature, everyone having signed the contract. And again, we want to make sure there's good visibility. So we're always sending these Slack notifications saying new contract signed, like whatever process needs to happen now to onboard the person, whether it's they send a personal message. Sometimes we create a private channel between their account manager and the client now. So there's all these different things that could happen once that notification goes out. Some of it's fully automated, some of it's semi-automated, so creating tasks to remind people to do these things. But in this case, we send out the Slack message, and now let's say we're using ClickUp as your project management tool. I use it for myself, I quite like it, but also Monday.com's been great, Notion's been good. You have a whole bunch of tools available. And in this case, maybe you are creating a list from a template for your clients, for each new client. So now they get added to your active clients folder in ClickUp. That's what I've structured in my own personal one. And then I created from a template, which maybe has 5 tasks that need to get kicked off with. For example, it's like add them to this, add them to that, etc., etc. Let's say you create a Google Drive for them, for example, and then you create Google Docs for them based on templates. You can do that all here as well, but this would be your onboarding step of, can we automate a bunch of onboarding stuff? And again, now that we have closed the person, they're part of our client list, we don't really want to be sending them marketing campaigns anymore. So also in ActiveCampaign or whatever marketing automation tool that you're using, you would move them to a new clients list, and that would remove them, say, from the prospecting list. And also you could, what I've done recently for another client is when you get moved into a client list on ActiveCampaign, you put them into an onboarding sequence. So you could be sending out a couple of emails of like, hey, we're really excited to have you onboarded. And then you could say over the next few days, you'll also receive a few emails from us just letting you know about the process. Or after 1 week, it's like, hey, by this point, we should have X and Y I've done for you, da, 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 da. So you can do a bunch of cool things around education and just touch points after someone closes into your business. That's the 4 automations for now. I can promise you if you implement these in some fashion or in some variation, they are going to save you a ton of time. It's going to make you respond to leads faster, get them booked in faster, which also means you're going to convert more leads. And it's just going to make your agency a lot more scalable. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't really know how to do this Zapier stuff or this automation stuff. I don't know how to make it work for my tools, things like that. Well, that's where I can help you. I work primarily with agencies, coaching businesses, people selling info products to automate and systemize all of their business operations. And typically it's focused around the sales and marketing systems, but very quickly it gets into this project management side of things as well, of making sure that clients get onboarded quickly, content production pipelines I've recently been setting up for people, things like that. So if you want someone who's in your business, helping you with your business operations from a technical side, and also helping you build out all your funnels, making sure everything's connected and saving you time, then you can also reach out to me. You can just find some links in the bottom. You can book in a time with me, let me know that you came through one of my videos, and then we can just have a conversation around how we can get you set up in this way with these types of automations and these types of systems.